Everyone's got a weakness. You guys have seen me go from skinny to fat, back to skinny fat. Like, obviously my weakness is spicy food and ice cream. The same goes for every single team in Major League Baseball. Yes, even the Dodgers have a weakness. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. We're going to go through every single team in baseball and figure out their biggest weakness heading into 2025. These super in-depth videos are brought to you by SeatGeek and Underdog Fantasy, but more on that later. Starting us off, the biggest weakness for the 2020 What? Let's redo that sentence, shall we? It's still early in the morning for me. The Atlanta Braves' biggest weakness for 2025 has to be health. I mean, just off the top of my head, Ronald Acuna Jr., Spencer Strider, Sean Murphy, they're all slated to miss at least the first month. Combine that with their 2024 bad luck when it comes to health issues with Riley, Albies, Harris all on the IL at some point throughout the year, just praying that they can stay healthy. The Miami Marlins' biggest weakness is their owner, Bruce Sherman. I know Peter Bendix, the new GM, gets a lot of flack, but honestly, I'm going to tip my cap to him because he's made a lot of moves just trying to save face for Bruce Sherman. This is the projected opening day lineup for the Marlins. Xavier Edwards, Connor Norby, Griffin Conine, Jonah Bride, Matt Mervis, Otto Lopez, Kyle Stowers, Nick Fortes, and Derek Hill. I mean, honestly, that fan base deserves better, and there's a big reason why no one goes to those games. It's because it's a protest against Sherman. The 2025 Mets, their biggest weakness to me, it's very similar to the Braves. I have no questions about their bullpen or their lineup. I do have some questions about their starting rotation and mainly if they can stay healthy or not. As of right now, Clay Holmes is their ace. He's going to be the opening day guy. Then you go Griffin Canning, Tyler McGill, David Peterson, Kodai Senga, and that's not even including Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas. They're on the IL right now. We know that Senga's already had some health concerns, so if the Mets rotation doesn't stay healthy, I still think they're going to be good, but to me, that's by far their biggest weakness. I'm going to go with a different angle for the Phillies because it has nothing to do with the regular season. I feel like we can just pencil in Philadelphia to be in October baseball, but that's where the biggest weakness comes into play. The postseason yips, and really I'm talking about the younger guys, kind of like the daycare squad on the Phillies. Rojas is 5 for 48 in the playoffs. That's a 104 batting average. Bryson had that insane grand slam, but in his playoff career, he's batting 188. Alec Bohm was just a little bit better with a 214 batting average and a 629 OPS. Brandon Marsh went 1 for 13 in last year's playoffs. That can't happen again. The Nationals are very much an up-and-coming team, so I don't want to be too harsh on them, but we do have to be objective and find a weakness, and I'm going to go with the bullpen. Pretty much by every single conceivable metric, the Nationals had a bottom 5 bullpen, and then they compounded the pain by trading away their best reliever, Robert Garcia. Yes, they brought back Kyle Finnegan, and Jorge Lopez is a welcomed addition, but Jorge Lopez is very inconsistent. According to a lot of projections, they're about to have 5 relievers with a 4+ ERA. That's a yikes. The Chicago Cubs, this one is easy for me because the owner, Tom Ricketts, he has put his foot in his mouth so much over the last few months that I'm surprised he can even eat anything. Sure, he traded for Kyle Tucker, but then he immediately responded by taking Kyle Tucker to arbitration, and there's no extension on the horizon. So, yeah, that's not good. Tom Ricketts also called out his own fan base, basically saying that he doesn't have all of these dollars that the Mets or the Yankees or the Dodgers have, and that every single year the Cubs' goal is to break even. Yeah, take a hike, you donut. That's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever heard an owner say. You own the Cubs. Anyways, before I get too upset, the Cincinnati Reds, I honed in on their outfield consistency. What does that mean? Well, TJ Friedl, he's been very hit or miss in regards to both production and staying on the field and being healthy. Jake Fraley, he regressed. Gavin Lux, he's trying to learn a brand new defensive spot on the fly. Austin Hayes, I like that ad. Spencer Steer, he's going to be playing some outfield and infield, but with all of those names out there, I haven't even said Will Benson. He was bad last year. I could have gone with their third base production because Jamie Candelario was iffy last year, and Noelvi Marte, I mean, without the PEDs, he looked awful. But for me, outfield consistency, that's my #1 bugaboo for the 2025 Reds. If you're a Brewers fan, I'm going to really need some help because I've been teetering between blaming the owner, Mark Tansasio, I don't even know how to say his last name, and the 2 through 5 starters in your rotation, because when you look at it, Nestor Cortez, not a great 2024. Aaron Savali, he kind of fixed himself when he got traded to Milwaukee. You have Tyler Alexander, 37-year-old Jose Quintana, and then Brandon Woodruff. He's trying to come back from that shoulder issue. So on one hand, I want to blame the owner for being kind of cheap over the last few years, but on the other hand, I don't feel like his GM has done a great job with getting pieces, but maybe again, that's the owner's fault for being cheap. I mean, this is the easiest choice of the entire video. Pittsburgh, their biggest weakness is the dude who owns the team, Bob Nutting. I mean, look at the rotation. It's Paul Skeens and a prayer. Now that Jared Jones might be missing some time, it's Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, who is the most hit or miss pitcher, not in a good way, like he's inconsistent. Then you have Andrew Heaney, Bailey Falter, and some guy named Carmen Milodiskinski. I'm actually shocked that both the commissioner, Robert Manfred, and the other owners in baseball have not come together to get this guy out of baseball. He must just be a chill guy and know how to work a conversation because this dude does not deserve to be be anywhere near the game of baseball. The St. Louis Cardinals in the year 2025, man, they have a lot of issues to work on, but to me, their biggest weakness is their starting rotation depth, but also maybe their player development. Thankfully, Mason Wynn has kind of saved that, but then again, there's the Jordan Walkers of the world. Don't get me wrong, I think that Sonny Gray is a bona fide ace, but I don't know what to make of Eric Fetty. I don't like Miles Michaelis at all. Andre Palante or Piante, I can't remember how to say his last name. He's kind of an interesting, fun player for this upcoming season. And then their number 5 is slated to be Steven Matz, the 34-year-old Steven Matz, mind you. I'm going to give it to the starting rotation depth as their biggest weakness, but come 2026, if Jordan Walker doesn't break out, we might have to switch back to player development. The Arizona Diamondbacks are one of the most complete teams in all of baseball, and finding a weakness wasn't very easy. I mean, they brought in Corbin Burns, they replaced Christian Walker with Josh Naylor. Those are very solid moves. I'm really focusing on the bullpen going forward because I don't know if AJ Puck is going to be basically prime Randy Johnson out the pen all over again. Is Justin Martinez going to be able to figure out the walk issue? Is Kevin Ginkel going to be able to replicate his success? To me, the hidden gem for the Diamondbacks bullpen is going to be Dre Jameson. I think he just got options, so he's working back from that arm injury I think he had. He's kind of their X factor to lock down the middle of that bullpen. And again, Justin Martinez, he's got to get that walk issue under control. Another terrible owner. I cannot believe that Bob Nutting owns a team. I can't believe that Mr. Monfort also owns a professional baseball team. The owner of the Rockies is by far and away their biggest weakness. If it's not him, I think it's just Coors Field where they play. I say Coors Field because of the altitude. It is a hitter's paradise. That's why you haven't really seen a star free agent pitcher sign with the Rockies. But again, it's not just Coors Field working against pitchers. It's also their owner, Mr. Monfort, who is one of the cheapest and worst owners in professional sports history. Just like the Diamondbacks, the 2025 Dodgers almost have no weaknesses, so you pretty much have to nitpick. And actually, you know what? This isn't very much of a nitpick. I think Dodgers fans can kind of agree with this. Their biggest weakness is center field. As of right now, the race is between James Outman and Andy Pages. James Outman, he almost won Rookie of the Year a few years ago, but his strikeout issue is like Joey Gallo bad. Andy Pages has sky-high talent just like James, but that competition is real. This could all change if Ha-Seong Kim rakes in AAA and gets the call, and that maybe pushes Tommy Edman back to center field, or maybe Kim takes over center field. I don't know. But if I did have to find a weakness, it's definitely center field in LA. The biggest weakness for the San Diego Padres, I wanted to go with the cop-out and say just being in the NL West. That could be the weakness, but I think Father Time might be a better answer. Think about it. Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado are both 32 years old. Yu Darvish is 38 years old. He's going to have to throw a ton of pitches with all of the health updates they've had in that rotation. Jason Hayward's almost 38. Their catcher, I think that he's going to play a lot. Elias Diaz is 34 years old, and Jake Cronenworth, he's no spring chicken. He's almost 32 years old, and the power, it's really dropped off. You could have also gone with another ownership issue, but to me, I feel like this kind of supersedes that. Father Time is their biggest weakness. The San Francisco Giants, I think their biggest weakness might be clutchness. That's just hitting with runners in scoring position. Maybe last year was a fluke, but Giants fans will tell you they were not good at driving in runners when they were on base. They were 24th in batting average with runners in scoring position, 25th in slugging, and they grounded into a ton of double plays. So when runners got on, yeah, they just kind of unplugged their brains. I'm praying that Jung-Hoo Lee plays a lot more, and maybe he's a clutch king, and Willie Adames, he's been a clutch performer throughout his career. They could really change life for the Giants. Now, before we move on to the American League side of things, I just want to say these videos would not be possible without SeatGeek and Underdog Fantasy. If you guys are going to any event that involves buying tickets, be sure to save 20 bucks off those tickets on SeatGeek using code Fuzzy. And also, opening day is around the corner, and Underdog Fantasy is giving $500,000 away on opening day. All you have to do is download using code Fuzzy and just make a play. And if your player that you picked hits the longest home run of opening day, you win part of $500,000. So if you're the only person that picks, I don't know, Michael Tolia, and he hits the longest home run, you get a lot of money. The Baltimore Orioles, what is their biggest weakness? Well, a lot of people might just assume it's the ownership group. Well, no, it's not an owner issue. It's a general manager, a GM issue. Mike Elias, he might be the worst, best GM I've ever seen. He's really, really, really good, like borderline all-time good at identifying talent. We're talking about one of the best drafters this game has ever seen. But he rarely adds to it with free agent splashes. I mean, we just saw them lose Corbin Burns and Anthony Santander just to prove a point. There was a source that described Mike Elias using the Orioles as a vanity project. Like, he wants to build a team that is the antithesis to the Yankees, to the Dodgers, and prove that teams can win from the ground up rather than being purchased. But Why not do both? Just really makes me mad. The ownership group wants to spend money, but Mike won't do it. The Boston Red Sox, for me, this was a toss-up between Rafael Devers not wanting to move. Like, I honestly felt like that could have been bad. But now that he is opening up and saying he is willing to move off of third base at least, as of right now, I don't know if that's going to change in the future. I'm going to go with the Red Sox bullpen as their biggest bugaboo. I desperately want Liam Hendriks to reclaim his role as a closing pitcher because he's just one of my favorite pitchers to watch in general. But when you're relying on Michael Fulmer, who has looked good, Justin Wilson, Liam Hendriks, Aroldis Chapman, those are big names, but are they going to perform up to their names? We have to wait and see. This one is, the Yankees' biggest weakness is the fact that someone in their organization pissed off the baseball gods. Their biggest weakness is literally being on the bad side of the gods. I mean, you name it, the baseball gods are throwing it at the Yankees. We're talking health issues, regression, mishaps that do not happen. Aaron Judge with his first error of the season in the World Series, it doesn't happen. Something bad is brewing down there. If I did have to give a real answer, it's probably just third base production. Is it going to be LeMahieu? Is it going to be Peraza? Is it going to be Oswaldo? Who's it going to be? Back to an owner being the biggest weakness, Stuart Sternberg. He owns the Rays, and as recent as last month, Robert Manfred, yes, the Robert Manfred, pretty much said that he's hoping Stuart sells the team immediately. Stewart ripped up the future plans for a beautiful new ballpark in St. Petersburg. He said, that was actually an Uno reverse card. Psych. Middle fingers to all of you guys. The lack of spending, they don't know where they're going to play. I mean, they do. They're going to stay in Tropicana, which is an absolute, again, more middle fingers to the fan base. If it's not an ownership issue with the Rays or a stadium issue, it's got to be outfield offense. I mean, Johnny DeLuca, we got to see more, and Josh Lowe, he's got to bounce back. Also, Christopher Morel, he can't be the worst hitter in baseball down the stretch like he was with the Rays last year. The Toronto Blue Jays, this should be fun because they've tried a lot to get some big-time talent on that squad. Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, so it's not like they haven't tried, but that doesn't apply to their own internal players. Talking about Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., their biggest weakness is kind of like a lack of a future identity or just simply lack of extensions. I still like Barrios, Gausman, Bassett, Bowden Francis showed a lot of promise, and Max Scherzer looks disgusting in spring. Hopefully he can stay healthy. And the bullpen doesn't actually look that bad either, so it's got to be just a lack of future identity surrounding the lack of extensions. Everything and everyone not named Luis Robert Jr. White Sox fans, I love you. You guys have been nothing but respectful. Like, honestly, on social media, White Sox fans are actually kind of cool. You would think that they'd be the opposite considering I'm a fan of a team in their own division, but White Sox fans, they've just really taken everything off the chin lately and they have nothing to root for, and I just straight up feel bad for them. The future does look bright. I do love Colson Montgomery, Noah Schultz, there's Hagen Smith, there's Edgar Cuero. They have a lot of studs coming up, but for the foreseeable future, yeah, everything's wrong. The biggest weakness for the Guardians is fairly straightforward. I have some big-time question marks about the offense for the middle of the infield. Andres Gimenez is gone, and honestly good because he stunk in the box the last 2 seasons. Ryan Marocchio did show flashes of pop to end 2024, but still, there's a lot of question marks around his potential and the second baseman who's going to fill the gap. Is it Daniel Schneemann, Juan Brito? He just got optioned to AAA as I'm recording. Maybe it's Tyler Freeman. Maybe he finally gets some playing time and is allowed to break out. I'm hoping that's the case because I love Tyler Freeman. But yeah, middle infield offense, it's going to be a struggle this year. The Tigers, I mean, if you don't go with underachieving stars or just the Javier Baez experiment failing in front of everyone, I mean, I don't know what you're watching. I'll just leave it under a blanket statement. The underachieving stars, if you even want to call them that. Spencer Torkelson, what is happening to him? Javier Baez, and even Casey Mize. He looks a lot better this spring, but he was supposed to be that guy. Aside from that, I think they're a young, upcoming team with a lot of room to improve, and I love their manager, AJ Hinch. So yeah, underachieving stars who are just stealing playing time and money. Sometimes I look at the Royals and I think to myself, how in the world could they have possibly not called up Jack Caglione after the offensive explosion he put on in spring training? We have to deal with Hunter Renfroe, Michael Massey, MJ Melendez. He has a lot of upside. Michael Garcia, same thing. Kyle Isbell, but most of those guys were not good last year, offensively at least. The top 4, I'm cool with it. Bobby, India, Vinny Pasquantino, Salvi, but then, I mean, you're risking 5 auto outs to end your lineup. The 2025 Twins, health. Oh, and did I mention health? I'm going to do an experiment. This might be cheesy, but close your eyes and I want you to think of the most injury-prone players in baseball that you can think of. You might have Aaron Judge in there, even though he's not injury-prone anymore. There's Byron Buxton. I see a Carlos Correa. I see a Royce Lewis. I mean, they're all Twins. Obviously, some of you probably thought of Mike Trout as well, but come on. The Twins are the most injury-prone team in baseball. I mean, even their pitching with Joe Ryan, he was out for a long time. I'm going to knock on wood. It seems like that's kind of been corrected to start 2025, but we'll see how it ends. The Houston Astros, I got their biggest weakness as rotation depth. So obviously starting pitching. Love me some Framber Valdez. I think that Hunter Brown is literally going to be a star, and Ronel Blanco, do we believe in him? He had a fantastic 2024, but I do worry about him taking a step back, and considering the guys behind him are Spencer Arrighetti, we call him Spencer Spaghetti, and then Hayden Wesneski. That's a little bit worrisome. If you're an Astros fan, I'm sure you're definitely a little bit worried, so praying Lance McCullers can build up and be ready by the second month of the season. The Los Angeles Angels. Every time I say that out loud, it doesn't sound right. Can they go back to the Anaheim Angels, please? But their biggest weakness is everything that has to do with throwing baseballs. I'm talking about starting pitching. I'm talking about relievers. It's all bad. Maybe that's a little bit harsh because Ben Joyce has been special. Jose Soriano took a big step forward. Yusei and Tyler Anderson have both shown flashes of being really good, but also flashes of being borderline unusable. Then you got Old Man Jenkins, Kyle Hendricks, he came from the Cubs, and Reed Detmers, who has been an absolute bust the last 2 seasons. Just like the Astros are crossing their fingers that Lance McCullers is going to reclaim his form, same for the Angels fan base and Robert Stevenson. He got a lot of money after he was devastating for the Rays, but he hasn't played for them yet. The Athletics, I know a lot of you wanted me to say John Fisher, but I ain't gonna lie, John Fisher spent a lot of money. The second most money committed for any American League team is John Fisher this year. Granted, that could be because the other owners forced his hand and they said, if you don't spend money, you're literally out of baseball. I do want to be objective though. John Fisher has spent a lot of money this offseason, again, whether it was his idea or not. So for me, the biggest weakness for the Athletics, it's not the Sacramento Athletics, it's just the Athletics. It's got to be corner infield power. At third base, you got Gio Urshela or Dale Hernandez. At first base, maybe Tyler Soderstrom pops off. I like him a lot, but corner infield pop, it is a question. When are the Mariners going to come to their senses and fix that stupid batter's eye in center field? I don't know if that's just because it costs too much money and the owner, John Stanton, who has been ridiculed the last decade for being very cheap, maybe he just doesn't want to spend money and fix that batter's eye so his offense can actually perform well, because the Mariners' home and away splits are some of the most cavernous differences in all of baseball. The Orioles are cheap and they fixed it. Come on, John. Fix that batter's eye. You're literally costing your team W's. The Rangers were a tough team for me to kind of hone in on one specific weakness because they have a few of them. Although I do like their squad, I'm kind of worried about the consistency from the bullpen because they lost Kirby Yates. Jose Leclerc is gone. Who knows where David Robertson's going to go? I'm shocked that he's not signed yet. And they did bring in Robert Garcia and Chris Martin, so maybe that shores things up. Maybe the bullpen is not their biggest weakness. It could be center field and catching offense if Higashioka doesn't have the same season that he did and Jonah Heim doesn't break out again. Or it could be center field with Leody Taveras, and maybe Evan Carter has already been figured out by other teams. The Rangers are kind of my AL Brewers. I want you all to let me know in the comments, what is their biggest weakness? And there you have it, the biggest weakness, or in some cases, weaknesses for every single team in baseball going into 2025. If you enjoy, the only thing that I ask is leave a like. It really helps out the video because engagement is big in 2025. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one.